The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this webinar session today here at Sensei Project Solutions. Today, we will be talking about creating a one-page status report with Project Access and Visio. My name is Rafael Santos. I am a Microsoft Project MVP and I am a principal consultant here at Sensei Project Solutions. And I will be conducting the webinar and we will be with you on this webinar today. So I'll be basically being your host for today's session. So before we get started, I would like to just do a quick presentation about myself. As I said, my name is Rafael Santos. And I work here at Sensei in the delivery team. I am a principal consultant at Sensei, and my job is to engage with clients and help them get the most value or get the value from their project online, project server, and project implementation and utilization. I am only I am one of the only 39 Microsoft Project MVPs in the entire world. I am serving my second year or my second turn, I would say, as a project MVP. We do have another project MVP at Sensei, which is my best friend Dale Howard, that you may know about. I have been participating in projects to either adopt and implement the PPM platform in three different continents, including North America in the United States, South America, which is where I live, as well as in Africa. I had the opportunity, I would say, to live in Africa for almost 4 years, in which I was working on project server and project online implementation. And I am based in the city of São Paulo in Brazil. Here is my email address, which is rafael.santos at senseiprojectsolutions.com. And I would like to let you know that I will be sharing all of the files as well as the presentation for this webinar. So if you'd like to have access to the material I am using here during this presentation, please feel free to just send me an email and I can definitely share this material with you so then you can have all of the slides as well as the files that I am using so then you can try it yourself. I would like to talk a little bit about Sensei Project Solutions, the company which is providing us or hosting this webinar. Sensei is a Microsoft 2014 PPM Partner of the Year award winner, and we have also been finalists in 2017 and 2015. We have done more than 500 Microsoft PPM deployments, and we have trained more than 5,000 people around the world. So we do have a truly global impact. At Sensei, we help organizations achieve strategic goals through work and project management best practices using Microsoft technology. Here we are talking about Microsoft Project Online, Microsoft Project Server, as well as Project Desktop. If you do not know about Sensei, or if you are getting in touch with Sensei right now, those are the four main blocks in which we are working. So we do offer services and things such as PPM consulting and managed support. So if you do have a project online or project server implementation and you do need some support, this is what we do. We also have a bunch of solutions that help our clients achieve their goals through the PPM implementation. So we do have the Jumpstart, which is a pre-configured best practices Microsoft PPM. We do have report packs. So if you do have a project online or project server implementation in place, but you don't have any reporting or anything like that, we do have the report packs that you can just plug and play and get started using and having data about your system. We do have the integration hub that allows the integration of either project online or project server with line of business systems. We do have the reporting hub, which is a collection of enterprise data warehouse for the PPM platform. We do offer agile PPM as well. So we do have a couple of agile PPM capabilities that can be brought into project online or project server. So then you can do you can manage, I would say, your projects in an agile using the agile methodology. And we also do have our Power BI content pack. So those are all the solutions that are included that the Sensei offers as a company. We also have the trainings, so you can have trainings for project managers, for team members, for application administrator. We do have the resource manager training and as well as the report author training. We have books and also e-learning. So if you'd like to have your users, or if you'd like to have yourself enroll to do e-learning. We do have the PPME coach for project managers as well as the PPME coach for team members. And the last option here, the last block of what Sensei offers are the apps. So we have developed some world-class apps to enhance productivity and extend cloud capabilities when using Project Online or Microsoft Project Desktop, and those are the Sensei Schedule Analyzer, Sensei Portfolio Advisor, Sensei Resource Heat Maps, as well as the Sensei Book Update. So if you'd like to know more about this, if you'd like to know more about what Sensei offers and what Sensei can do to help your company move forward with your PPM implementation, you can just visit our website at senseiprojectsolutions.com, and from there you have access to all of those options here, which are the services, solutions, training, and apps. So moving forward here for us to get started with our main topic for today's session, I would like to share the key objectives for today. So today we will be quickly reviewing the reporting options in Microsoft Project Desktop. So we will be talking about which are the options for people who are still using Microsoft Project 27 or Microsoft Project 2010. We will be talking about the reporting options for those who are using newest versions of Microsoft Project. And here I am talking about Project 2013 or Project 2016. We will understand how Microsoft exports its data and how we can use it to create our reports outside of Microsoft Project, and understand how to use this data in a combination between Microsoft Access and Microsoft Visio, so then we can get, organize, and display this relevant information about our schedule in a single page. So those are the key objectives for today's session. If you do have questions, you can just use the chat window and you can ask your questions. And then at the end of this session, at the end of the presentation, I will be answering some of the questions you may have. So let's talk a little bit about the reporting options for Microsoft Project. So if you are using Project 27 or Project 2010, the options for creating reports are the old schema in which we basically export some data to a cube, and then from within that cube, we can create our reports in Microsoft Excel. So this is somehow a good option for us to use when using Project 27, 2007 or Project 2010. However, we might have some difficulties here because the data is not dynamic. And when I say the data is not dynamic, what I am trying to say is that if you do have to do some updates, or if you update your schedule frequently, let's say weekly or monthly, and you need to create reports, or you need to update the reports that you created in the last reporting period, you do not have the ability to do so because the data is not dynamic. So every time you need to create a report, or you have to do a reporting for a particular period of your project, you need to basically redo all of the work. You need to re-export all of the data and then recreate all of the reports, which is a pretty time-consuming activity. When we go to Project 2013 or Project 2016, then we have the built-in mechanism that is a very nice feature that has been added since the launch of Project 2013. And from there, we can create couple of good reports, we can create some nice visualizations, which are basically connected to our data, which means that every time we do a change in our schedule, every time there is a change in one of our tasks, those changes or this change is reflected in the reports that we have. So we do not have to do manual export process to create the reports because they are already consuming live data from our schedule, which was a big difference. So since 2013 that we had this kind of ability to create this kind of reports, this was a game changing for Microsoft project users, for project managers, because they could really not worry about creating a report every week, creating a new report every reporting period to share and export and make this data available with executives or other project managers within the organization, or even their team members or clients. Here, what I would like to explore is we are just taking a next step, and sometimes you do have to create in a single page a status report that puts together some key and relevant information about your schedule. So sometimes, even though we have a report or we have a project with more than 1,000 rows, for example, more than 1,000 tasks, we need to put together something that in a single page we can demonstrate everything that is happening in our project, right? So the thing that we are going to be doing here is we will be using Microsoft Visio, which has lots of good capabilities and lots of good functionalities and resources that we can use, but we are going to feed this Visio file or this Visio report with data that comes from Microsoft project. So that's the intention here for us today. And the reason we will be using Visio to do this is because the system, the platform has lots of data elements which are called data graphics that we can use in a combination to basically display the information we would like to. So it has, icon sets that we can determine if a project is running well or if a project is not doing so well. We could use things such as data bars. So if we do have things such as progress that we would like to track, we can put this together. We can use some of the data bars. We have some text callouts that we can use as well, which are part of the data graphics and visualizations that are available in Visio. And if we use all of this combined, or if we put all of this together, we could be creating a report that would look like this. So as you can see here, we have a kind of a WBS in which we have the main tasks of our project. And then from those particular tasks that we would like to put our focus on, we can bring some data and display them in a very nice and very visual way. So here, for example, we are demonstrating, the percentage of completion for the tasks, as well as some icons that will determine the health of the tasks that can be tracked based upon the schedule, or can be tracked based upon the work or cost or anything that we would like to use. And for us to get there and to demonstrate to you, the main process, and to do a live demonstration on how this would look like, we really need to only to understand what's the data exporting process. So in a simple way, all of our information is available in Microsoft Project. So what we have to do is we have to export this data from Microsoft Project to an Access database. So as soon as we do have this information available in an Access database, then we can use Visio to connect to the Access database and have this data being demonstrated or being displayed in the way that we would like to. The difference between the point of using Microsoft Access here is that Visio does not have a direct connector to Microsoft Project, but it has a connector to Microsoft Access. So that way we can export data from Project to Access and then consume this data in Microsoft Visio. And the point here, the second point that I would like to bring is every time there is a change in our schedule, all we have to do is to basically re-export the data from Microsoft Project and then refresh this data in Microsoft Visio, and we will just have the information that we need, the information that is our goal, or the information from last week, for example, or from last month, depending on the time reporting period that you are using. So here I will just pause a little bit our presentation, and I will do a live demonstration on how this all works together. So let's move on here, and I will just open up my Microsoft project and bring it over here. So as you can see, I am basically, I have created, I would say, a project schedule which has a couple of tasks. And we have here just, it's not a real schedule to implement project server. It's just a couple of tasks with a couple of predecessors and and resources and some information, some useful information that we'll be using in our report. So what we need to do is, if we were to use the custom reports that are available in Microsoft Project 2013 or 2016, we could just use, the reports that are available in here, and then we would be able to see all of them. However, that's not going to be the case because we would like to export this data to a Microsoft Access database. So what I will do is I will click here on Visual Reports. And when we click on the Visual Reports tab, we do have an option here, which is Save Data. So Save Data is a step in Microsoft Project that most people do not know, and this allows us to use the exporting mechanism to share this information from Microsoft Project to Microsoft Access. So let's go ahead and do a save data. And when we do have a save data, we do have an option here that says Save Database. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click here on Save Database. And I do have a folder here on my desktop, which I have created just for this webinar. And one thing that you need to pay attention to is how you are going to be naming your file. So as you can see, when we are doing an export, it is basically putting the same name as the name of the project. So I have project server installation as the name of the project, or the name of the Microsoft project that I have. So just create here a suffix, and I'll say project server installation database. So then I know that this is my database. And instead of saving this file as an MPP, which stands for Microsoft Project, I will save this as an MDB, which is a Microsoft database. So this is the only thing that you need to change here when you are basically saving this information. So I will save this, and the save has been completed successfully. So my data is available in there. So I'll be closing this. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going here to Visio. So in Visio, I will open up my file. So let me open up my file here, my project status report. And as you will be able to see, my project status report is basically using an organization chart in which I have my summary task in my project summary task, I would say, and all of my summary tasks which will basically represent the phases of my project. So how can I get this information? How can I bring information from Microsoft Access to Microsoft Project? So it's pretty simple. What we need to do is we need to go here to data. And then once we are here in the data tab in the ribbon, we do have an option that says custom import. So the custom import, and it's just going to basically ask me where the information is coming from. So I have a couple of different options here. I have I can import data from Microsoft Excel or from Microsoft Access or from SharePoint, a list in SharePoint, or from a SQL database. So in this example, I will bring information that is stored in a Microsoft Access database. So click here, and then you just follow the wizard. So I'll click next. We need to identify where the database is located. So I'll click browse here to search for my database. And that's the reason when you name your file, using the suffix and putting the database name at the end of this, at the end of it, it's just easier for us to find the file that we are looking for. So I'm looking for this project server installation database here, and then I will click open. So next step will be for us to determine which is the table that stores the information that we need to bring. So the file that has been exported from Microsoft Project to Microsoft Access has many different tables because what Microsoft Project does is it exports the data in a way that we have, tasks tables, that will basically organize information about the tasks, but it will also have assignments tables in which assignment information is going to be stored and things like that. So what we need to do here is we need to determine which is the appropriated table that we will be using. And in this case, I will be just bringing data from my MSP EPM task table because my report will look at the task data to demonstrate and to display the information. So click next. And then in the next step, there are a very good option that we can use, which is we can basically, so the options that we have are we can both select the columns that we are going to be using in our report, and we can also select the rows. And the reason we need to do this is because there are so many columns and so many rows that have been exported from Microsoft Project to Microsoft Access that if we bring everything to the report that we are building in Visio, it's just going to be a mess of data, and it's just going to be very hard for us to organize this data. So what I'm going to do is I am going to select the columns, and I will be telling the system which are the columns that I would like to work with, that I would like to have on my report. So first, I will uncheck all, and then I will just select the columns that are important to me. So for this exercise, I will bring the task int UID because this is going to basically bring us the ID number for each one of the tasks, so then we can organize this. Then I will bring, so there are many fields in here. There are, many different information that many different columns that we could be bringing or we could display in the report. But for this exercise, I would just bring the task int UID. I will use also the finish variance because we will be creating an indicator or an icon that will be using the finish variance field. Then I will be just selecting the is summary um, column. I need to have the name of the task as well. The name is important. I will have to select the percent complete. And I believe this is all. Yes, I believe this is all. We could also bring other information such as start and finish date if it's important for us to demonstrate in our report, or cost information or work information and things as such. But I believe that for the report that we are creating here and for the what the intention of this webinar is, I believe we are just fine. So I'll click OK. And then the next step is to basically select the rows that will be included in our report. So I will select rows, and what we can do is we can create a custom filter and say I would like to filter um, a column that's called is summary because I'm not caring about all the tasks in my schedule. So I only care about tasks that are summary tasks. So I'll be creating a filter that says uh, just bring me or just retrieve the data when the column called is summary is equals to true. So I don't care about, milestones. I don't care about regular tasks. I only care about summary tasks. So click OK, and then click OK again. And what we can do is click finish, and then the wizard is just going to say, I will use this task int UID as a key, because if you'd like to create some relationships or uh, you know use this data differently, this is going to be the key that I will be using for unique values. So that's okay. I'll click finish. Oh, sorry, next, and then finish. So as we can see, all of our data is available here. We have all of the information that we need to create our report. So I have the task UID, I have the finish variance, I have the is summary, I have the name of the tasks, and I have the percent completion. If I would like to change the position of the columns, it would just be a matter of moving on the columns back and forth, and that's all we need. So our data is here. So now the next step will be for us to create a relationship between the data that has been imported to Visio and the shapes that we have in Visio, right? So then we can create our report. So what we will be doing is I will be just dragging and drop the information as easy as this. So for example, here, my project server installation is the role that represents my schedule, my entire project. So I'll be just bringing this on here to this particular shape. So then I am creating a relationship between this shape and this role in my data model. So then I will bring all of the other information that I would like to have on my report. So prepare for deployment is going to be placed here. Then we have configure database, which is going to be placed here. Then I have install SharePoint, that's going to be based here. Then I have install project server, which is going to be placed here. Then I will skip some of the summary tasks, and I care about PWA site configuration. That's going to be placed here. And finally, the reporting from PWA, which is going to be placed here. So now I have all of my data, and my data is placed in the shapes. And the next step will be for us to determine which is the data that should be displayed. Because at this point, the shape doesn't know what is the information that it should be displaying. So it's just displaying general information such as the task, int, UID, and the name of the tasks. So what we will be doing is I will be just selecting the shapes here individually as I'm doing. So I pressed the Control key, and then I'm clicking on each shape individually. And once I have selected all of my shapes, what I can do is I can click here on Advanced Data Graphics, and then I can click here on Edit Data Graphic. And the reason I'm going to do an edit is because the data is being displayed already. So I have to edit because I don't want the task name and the task UID to be displayed here. So I'll be removing them. And what we can do is we can click on New. So once I click on new item, what's going to happen is the data field, in the data field option, I can determine which is the field that's coming from Microsoft project that I would like to display. So for example, I would like to display one information that is important to me, and I would like to display is the percent complete. So I'll click on percent complete. And then what is the most beautiful thing on this entire process that we are following here is that the displayed as allows us to display this information in many different ways. So we can display this as a text. So if we would like to just have a text information being displayed, then we can display as a text, and there are many options for us to display. So we have the text callout, we have the mobile callout, we have the email callout, the phone. So there are many different options that we could be using. For example, for the percent complete, I will use the data bar. And the data bar can be, for example, the progress data bar. So that's pretty nice, right? The progress data bar is something very nice to use. And what we need to do here is we have to do a change in the maximum value, because as we can see here to the right, the percent complete is a decimal number. It's not an integer. So I have to change here the maximum value to be 1 instead of 100. Then the value position, you can determine if it's going to be displayed outside of the data bar or inside of the data bar, so you can determine how this is going to be displayed. So just keep this interior. And then the value format, we can click here on the value format, and since we are using decimal numbers, we can say that the data is going to be displayed as percentage without decimal places. So as soon as we do it, I can click OK, then OK again. And once I click apply, this is the way my data is going to be displayed. So we do have now the percent complete being displayed in our report. So here, you don't need to worry too much about the position, because for the shapes that are in the left of the visualization that we have right now, the percent complete is not so good, but we will be changing this in a minute. So I just would like to show you how the result is going to be when we put this all together. So then the next step is, let's say that I would like to display an icon in the report to show, the finish variance. So finish variance is going to be a criteria for us to determine how the icons are going to be displayed. So since my data since my shapes are previously selected, so I have selected all of my shapes, I can go back here to advanced data graphics and then do an edit again. So I'll click on edit, and then I will just create a new item. So once I create a new item, I can say now my information is going to be coming from the finish variance, and then I will display an icon. So an icon set, right? A collection of icons. And when you do an icon, there are many icons that you can be using. So you have the kind of flags you're marking or marks, red, yellow, and green. You have the thumbs up, thumbs down. You have the wireless sign up. You have many different icons that can be used here. So for this example, we'll keep up this first style. And then you have to determine which are the rules that you will be using for your data. So I'm going to do a pretty simple rule here. So I'll say, for example, that when my finish variance is greater than 5, it's going to be red. So when my finish variance is less than or equal to 0, so I do not have variance at all, it's going to be green. And then when my finish variance is greater than 0, and then it's going to be basically between 1 and 5, then it's going to be yellow. So I'll click OK, and then apply. And then my icons are just going to be displayed here. So I have my icons and I have my percent complete. So the the final thing, or the last thing that we have to do here, is just organize the position of those icons here, because they are being displayed to the right and we would like to see them to the left. So what we can do is we can click and select the three shapes for which we'd like to apply this change. And then we go again to advanced data graphics and then edit. And a very important thing is that before you do any changes, you select this option here that says apply changes to only selected shapes. So then only the selected shapes are going to be affected by this change we are going to conduct. So then I will click on this, which is the percent complete. I'll do the edit, and I will say do not use the default position, and instead use the far left to organize this information. And the same thing is going to be happening here to the finish variance. I will click on the finish variance, then I will click on edit, and then I will say change this, instead of being right, you should display this to the left. So I'll click OK, and then apply, and all of my information is being displayed as I would like it to be. So very nice way for displaying this information. And I know that we are almost running out of time, but I will just do a quick change here for us to see how the Visio file is going to behave when we do have changes. So, and this is a very nice way of seeing this. So let's say that I go back to my project schedule and I say, for example, install project server has been finished. For example, the PWA site configuration is 25% completed, but this create a project website app is going to be taking 10 days instead of 2 days. So I have a big change here. And reporting is also 25% completed. So I have done a couple of changes here to my schedule, and you will notice that I do not need to save my project file. So as soon as I have these changes and I would like to see this reflected on my report, I can go back here to report, and then I click on visual reports, and I do a save data again, save database, and then just find a place in which my database is going to be saved. So what I'm going to do is just replace the old database. So I replace the old database, the data has been saved, and once I go back to Visio, as soon as I refresh the data, you will see that some of the data has been changed, and I have now some red icons. My PWA site configuration is now 4% complete, and my reporting for PWA is 4% complete. So as soon as I have changes, the only thing that I really need to do is save the database again, replace the old database, and then refresh the data, and my project report is just going to be available in there. So one more thing that I would like to show you is that once you have this report being ready to be shared with your organization, what you can do is you can insert legend, and you can say, I would like to have an horizontal legend, for example. And once you have it, you can just place this, let's say here. Oops, sorry. I will place my legend right here. And the only thing that I need to do is I need to change the color for the font. So then we have here a finish variance. When it's greater than 5, it's showing red. When it's greater than 0 and less than 5, it's being displayed as yellow. And when it's less or equal than 0, then it's displayed green. So you have all of your legend here. So then you can share this report with your organization or with your client. So let me just go back here to my present PowerPoint deck. As I said, I will be sharing my PowerPoint deck with you guys if you'd like to receive it. So I do have some useful links here that I would like to share. If you would like to know more how you can create dashboards in Visio with data from project, you can go to this particular presentation here that has been delivered by Chris Hopkins in the Project Server 2014, I believe, conference. That is a very nice way of understanding all of Visio's functionalities and capabilities. And I have also created a couple of reports and a couple of articles on how you can create beautiful reports using Project 23 to 2010, and also some nice visual reports that you can just install on your project professional. So all of those links here will be available through the presentation. You just need to send me an email and I can share this presentation with you. So as I said, we are running out of time, but I will just see some questions that we might have here, and I will try to answer them before we wrap up here our presentation. So why the overall progress is showing as 0? This question came from Roy. Let me check here. Oh, yeah. So I believe the reason for this, Roy, was just because it was being displayed as decimal numbers, so then we just need to format the numbers to display this in a you know right way. And then this presentation will be sent out. Yes, Sandra, the presentation is going to be shared. Just send me an email, as I said at the beginning of the presentation. Let me just put the slides back here. So my email address for you to know is it's here. It's Rafael .santos@senseiprojectsolutions.com. So please just send me an email with your name, and I will be just sending over to you all the material that has been used in this presentation. So, guys, we are 8 minutes late. But I hope that you have enjoyed this presentation. I hope that you think this presentation was useful for you to, bring your reports to the next level. And please stay tuned because every month Sensei delivers a public webinar with some interesting topics in the Microsoft project and project server world. So stay tuned for more presentations and more webinars that are coming in the next couple of months. If you do have any questions or if there is any way I can help you guys with, please just send me an email and I'll be more than happy to be in touch with you. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this presentation, and I hope to see you very soon in another Sensei webinar. I'll be talking to you soon. Bye bye.